Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
The Khalji dynasty, they ruled for the 1290 to 1320. Means that the last quarter of the 13th century till the beginning of the 14th century. Founder of Khalji dynasty was the Alauddin Khalji. He is considered as the founder of the Khalji dynasty. So what is that? His time period is 12. This Khalji, Alauddin Khalji, he ascended or founded in 1290 and 96 for 6 years. He was the founder of the Khalji dynasty and he was very old and not a strong ruler. He adopted a lenient policy towards the Mongols. Just now we have discussed about that the Balban, he tried to consolidate and give the fortification from the northwestern side from where the Mongols were supposed to enter or to enter in the country. But this Alauddin Khalji's policy was very lenient towards the Mongols and he arranged marriage of one of his daughters with the Ulugh Khan. Ulugh Khan, one of the Mongols, who was the leader of the Mongols, and in 1296 Alauddin Khalji was assassinated by his nephew. With his one of nephew has assassinated him and son-in-law Alauddin Khalji, who took hold the throne of Sultan after his death. Both the nephew and the son-in-law, Alauddin Khalji, who took hold of the throne of the Sultan after his death. After the death of the Alauddin Khalji, Alauddin Khalji, his son, he took the charge of the throne. He ascended on the throne of the Delhi Sultanate. This is the picture of Alauddin Khalji. Was an ambitious and the most powerful ruler of Khalji dynasty. He proved himself after the assassination of his father Alauddin Khalji. He ascended on the throne, but he proved himself as one of the most powerful ruler of Khalji dynasty. He wanted to become the second Alexander and conqueror of the world. Alexander the Great, his dream was also like that, to conquer the world. But his dream did not fulfill or came true. He died in between. The same way, Alauddin Khalji also, he wanted to become a second Alexander and conquer the world. He wanted to establish an all India empire. He needed money to expand his dynasty. For the expansion, his dynasty, he needed the money. For this purposes, what he did, he introduced several economic reform policies. How to increase the income of the dynasty income of the empire. What he did, he has introduced the several economic reforms to generate the economy for the development and expansion of the territory. Then it comes about that the administration of Khalji and means that during the period of Alauddin Khalji. This is the Khalji dynasty. This image is of the Alauddin Khalji, founder Alauddin Khalji. Period is 1290 to 1320. Alauddin Khalji, the most prominent ruler of the Khalji dynasty. Moment if it comes about that, what do you know about the Khalji dynasty? It's a very simple thing. Alauddin Khalji, founded by Alauddin Khalji, but Alauddin Khalji was the most powerful ruler and the prominent ruler of this dynasty, and he did a lot of the economic and the administrative reforms during his period. Alauddin Khalji was an able administrator. He followed the policy of expansion and Alauddin Khalji consolidations. He ordered his authorities. Expansion and the consolidation was the main motive. He made some sweeping reforms for keeping control over the nobles. Nobles, they were very powerful. How to control them? He introduced some sweeping reforms, and these measures included, he ordered his authorities for measurement of all land. entire the land of his territory, his empire was been measured, all land under the agriculture. Entire land which were cultivated by the peasants, by the farmers, were measured. The revenue from the land was assessed on the basis of measurements. First, the land was measured, agricultural land was measured, and then the revenue or the tax was fixed according to that, the measurement. To receive more revenue, he raised the land tax in the Doab region of 1/2 of the total produce. Doab means the land between the two rivers. Doab, land between two rivers. Obviously, as the land is getting the sufficient water for irrigation, so this is the very means cultivable land. The yield comes in a huge quantity. As this, not only that the water is available for the irrigation, but the rivers also brings this silt, fine quality of the silt and sand which is deposited by them in this the Doab region. So this is the reason behind it. The Doab region is having that the very good for the agricultural productivity. So what Alauddin Khalji he has decided to raise the land tax in the Doab region to 1/2 of the total produce. Half of the total produce was collected by according to the order of Alauddin that has to be paid by the farmers to the king's treasury. He introduced a policy of control the market. The prices of goods were controlled so that no one could make large profits, and policy of control the market, the prices of goods were controlled so that no one could make large profits and people could afford to pay the required price. This is the policy of to control market was also done by Alauddin. And with this policy, what happened? The prices of goods were controlled so that no one could make large profits and the people could afford to pay the required prices. This is the control, market control policy was also implemented by him. He appointed special officers to watch on the shopkeepers. Not only that he has introduced all these things, but to keep an eye upon that, the shopkeepers also, so they cannot misuse. They can have to take care about the policies which has been implemented by the rulers. Then reforms and strengthen in army. This is also very important, which was introduced by Alauddin. Reforms and strengthen in army was another important policy to fulfill his ambition. Fortification and consolidation was his ambition and the expansion of his territory, his empire. So he needed a good and a strong army to fulfill his policy and his ambition. Improvement in revenue policy increased revenue collection. Already land measurement was done. According to that, the revenue fixation was done. In Doab region, he has increased the land taxes. Then control of the market policy was also done, introduced by him. So that way what happened? The improved land revenue was improved. Increased revenue was started collecting by him. He became capable to manage a large and strong army. As the revenue was generated, so he was now able to keep a large and strong army. He began to pay in cash to his soldiers. He introduced a policy of branding horses to prevent the exchange of good horses by horses of the inferior races. Now this is which was also known as dag, means that they have mark on the horses. Branding of the horses to prevent the exchange of good horses by horses of inferior races. A face reading policy was also maintained for each soldier. So these were the new policies which were introduced by Alauddin Khalji. Then he appointed some spies. Some spies were also introduced, appointed by him, who provided information regarding any danger from enemy. They were posted in different parts of the empire. So this spy system was also very interesting and very successful in the period of the Alauddin Khalji. Expansion policy of Alauddin. How did he expanded his empire? Inside this, we have to discuss about that conquest in North India and conquest in Deccan, the southern India. So first of all, we are coming to discuss in the northern India how he has expanded his territory, his empire, and what were the policies adopted by him for the expansion in the southern India. In the conquest of North India, Alauddin Khalji conquered Gujarat and Malwa, and this conquer motivated him to have control over the western coastal areas, the entire western side of our country, where it is the Maharashtra, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, then we have Kannada and Kerala. So this way it is the western coastal areas around AD 1301 to 1303. He attacked and captured Ranthambore and Chittor in Rajasthan. Ranthambore and Chittor in Rajasthan, and his attack on Chittor has been described in Padmavat, which has been written by Malik Muhammad Jaisi. This is the image of Malik Muhammad Jaisi. He has written, he explained about all his ideas about the conquest of Alauddin Khalji on Chittorgarh. His main motive to attack Chittorgarh was to acquire Padmini, the beautiful queen of Rana Ratan Singh. When Alauddin attacked Chittor, Rana Ratan Singh was captured, but a little later his trusted soldiers escaped and rescued him. Rana Ratan Singh was rescued from the capture or from the captive of the Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin made an attack again. Rajputs were not prepared for battle. Even then, they fought bravely but lost the battle. Rajput women performed Johar to save their honor and dignity. Johar is actually that, just like if you have studied about that, the Sati Pratha. Sati was that after the death of the husband, the wives were supposed to be burned with the funeral pyre. Johar is means especially it was with the Rajputanas women, the Rajputs women. If suppose their husbands they died in the battlefield, these women they have to burn themselves alive. That is known as Johar. Although after the defeat of the king of this Chittorgarh, they were defeated. So the women of this Rajputs, they performed Johar to save their dignity. But this Padmini has not been handed over herself to Alauddin Khalji. This is all about the Padmavat. This is the novel and a book written by Malik Muhammad Jaisi about the Queen of Chittor, Padmini, and about Rana Ratan Singh. This was the conquest of the northern India. Now coming to discuss with this Alauddin Khilji, his policy to conquest Deccan. This time period is 1305 to 1300. Alauddin was the first Muslim ruler who made an effort to conquer the Deccan. He was the first Muslim. Before this also the Delhi Sultanate, no one tried to conquer the southern India. He was the first Muslim who put an effort to conquer the Deccan. He sent a large army towards Deccan under the leadership of Malik Kafur. Malik Kafur was the leader. Under his supervision only, he has sent his large army towards the Deccan. Malik Kafur was the trusted general of Malik Muhammad, Alauddin Khilji. He defeated the ruler of Devagiri, Warangal, Dwarasmudra and Madurai. These rulers were made to pay a tribute to Alauddin Khilji. All these the rulers of these the different territories, different the empires, different kingdoms like Devgiri, Warangal, Dwarasmudra and Madurai. They have started paying their tribute to this Alauddin Khilji. These rulers were made to pay a tribute to Alauddin Khilji. The empire of Alauddin Khilji was as large as Asoka the Great's empire. As his dream was to for the expansion of the empire, and he did so. Asoka was also King Asoka of the Mauryan dynasty. He also ruled over a very vast territory. In the same manner, Alauddin Khalji also started ruling over there. His main motive is conquering the Deccan was more economic. It was based on the economy only. How to raise or increase the economy of the country, not based on the religious or the political expansion. Only and only for the to generate or to acquire the economy, to raise the economy of the empire. So he has done, he made the kings his vassals and received annual tributes from them. The kings of the southern India, the Deccan, they became the vassals, and after that, what they have started doing, they have started giving their tribute to Alauddin Khalji. Alauddin died in AD 1316. This Khurshid Malik was the successor. Alauddin, he received the annual tributes from them, and it was not possible for him. Why he has agreed to only to collect the tribute from the southern rulers or the kings of the southern India? Because it was not possible for him to rule the South India from Delhi. It was very difficult for any of the rulers by sitting at Delhi to control the southern India. So Alauddin started accepting tributes from the rulers of the Deccan, as his policy was also very clear about that. He wanted to expand his economic policy, not that the religious or the political expansion. Alauddin Khalji died in AD 1316. Khurshid Malik was the last Khalji ruler. Last Khalji ruler was the Khurshid Malik. He was killed and replaced by the Tughlaq Sultan. This way, this Khalji dynasty came to an end, as the successor of Alauddin Khalji, Khurshid Malik, was not very successful. He was just declared as the last ruler, because after him, the entire dynasty was succeeded. This entire territory was succeeded by Tughlaq Sultans. So this is all about that. The dynasties which ruled over our country between the 1216 to 1526. Inside this, just now we have discussed about that the slave dynasty from 1206 to 1290. Then the different rulers were there. Name of the different rulers we have discussed, like with the help of the different sources, court chronicles, travelers' accounts, then historical monuments also. They gave us the lots of idea about that, how these rulers were ruling over there. Then what the important role played by Iltutmish, his contribution like the building construction or the architectural planning of the Qutub Minar. Then about the Chalisa system, which is the Tarkane Chahalgami. Ekta system was introduced by him. Then the two different types of the coins were introduced by him, Tanka and Jittal. Tanka was made up of silver and this Jittal was of the copper coin. After that, the first and the last woman ruler, Razia Sultan, daughter of Iltutmish, and how she has faced the problem with the nobles, as the woman was not supposed to ascend on the throne. Then we had already discussed about Balban, Ghiyasuddin Balban, his time period between 1266 to 1286. Ghiyasuddin Balban's policy was there. Iron and blood system was been introduced by him. Then Sijda and Pavos was the system introduced by him. And in this, the kissing of the ruler's feet and all, this is the system. What was that? It was practice of kneeling and touching the ground with the forehead. And in regard to the Sultan. So that way they are just bending in front of the Sultan. Pabos was the practice of the kissing of the feet of the Sultan. So this was the sajda and the pabos which was introduced by Ghiyasuddin Balban. Then after this, the Ghiyasuddin Balban, this dynasty was completely declined, and the power was transferred to the Khalji dynasty. In the Khalji dynasty, the founder was Jalaluddin Khalji. Then after after his assassination, Alauddin Khalji, he ascended on the throne, and he has introduced the many of the administrative reforms, then the reforms to strengthen his army, although he did not follow the system of the 40 or the Chalisa, then how it was Alauddin Khilji conquered the conquest of towards the north, conquest towards the Deccan with the help of the Malik Kafur in the North India. His the entire conquest and the expansion was correlated with the. It was explained in the book written by Malik Muhammad Jaisi under the heading of Padmavat, where it has been described as the means the beauty of beautiful queen of Rana Ratan Singh's wife Padmini, and it has been said that his motive to attack on Chittorgarh was to acquire the Padmini from Rana Ratan Singh. But finally, this Chittor people, they were defeated, the Rajputs, they were defeated by this Alauddin Khalji. But the women of this Rajput family, they performed Johar to save their honor and dignity. Then in the southern India, in this conquest, with the help of his Army General Malik Kafur, was the very trusted general of Alauddin Khalji. He has defeated the ruler of Devgiri, Warangal, Dorasmudra and Madurai, but he has made these rulers to pay the tribute to Alauddin Khilji. He was not in such a position to control or to rule over the southern India, because by sitting in Delhi to control this part is very difficult for him. But finally, he died in the 1316, and his successor, Khurso Malik, was not a very efficient ruler of this Khalji dynasty, and finally, he was killed and replaced by Tughlaq Sultans. This Khurso Malik was killed and he was replaced by Tughlaq Sultans. So, this is all about the chapter, what we have discussed just now. Now, coming to discuss with this is the territory boundary of the Alauddin Khalji's kingdom in 1315. This was the vast territory which was ruled by him, and this is the means this broken line is been shown over here about that the his trusted general Malik Kafur, his visit, his conquest towards the southern India. Here it is Madurai, Dwarasmudra, Warangal. These were the places which were conquered by Alauddin Khalji with the help of Malik Kafur. Devagiri is also, Chittor is there, Ranthambore is there. All these are the places which were conquered by Alauddin Khalji with the help of Malik Kafur.